In our village, there was a woman named Mama Abina. She was known for her food. It wasn't just any food, it was the best food you could find anywhere. People would come from far and wide just to eat at her stall. Her jollof rice, her stews, her soups, everything she made tasted like it was touched by the gods. Her food was always in abundance. No matter how many people came, there was always more. As a kid, I remember standing in line, waiting my turn to taste her famous dishes. My mother would give me money and tell me to hurry, because if you didn't go early, you might have to wait in line for hours. People said Mama Abina's food was magical, and I believed it. The strange thing was, no one ever saw her buying ingredients from the market. Not even the women who sold vegetables, meat, and fish. When anyone asked her how she was able to make so much food every day, she would just laugh and say, "Oh, don't worry. The spirits bless me." Now, in our village, people respected food sellers. But there were always rumors, especially when something seemed too good to be true. There were whispers about Mama Abina's food. Some said she had a secret ingredient, others said it was juju, that she had gone to a powerful medicine man who blessed her food. At first, I didn't believe any of that. I mean, who would think that sweet, kind Mama Abina was doing something bad? But then, one day, something happened that made me see things differently. It was a hot afternoon, and I had gone to Mama Abina's stall like I always did. As usual, there was a long line of people waiting to buy her food. I got my food, but instead of going home, I sat near her stall to eat. I noticed that after serving everyone, Mama Abina would disappear for a few minutes, and then come back with more food, as if it never ran out. Curiosity got the better of me. So, the next time she went inside, I decided to follow her. I shouldn't have done that. I quietly slipped around the side of her house, careful not to make any noise. There was a small window at the back, and I peeked inside. What I saw made my stomach turn. Mama Abina was standing over a huge pot, stirring it with one hand, but in her other hand was a cup. She was urinating into the cup, and when she was done, she poured it into the pot, stirring it into the food as if it was a normal ingredient. My heart nearly stopped. I wanted to scream, to run away, but my legs felt like they were stuck to the ground. I couldn't believe it. All this time, we had been eating her food, and she had been using her own urine to sweeten it. I thought about how everyone praised her, how people couldn't stop talking about her food. I thought about how my own family had been eating it for years. I backed away from the window slowly, not making a sound, my heart pounding in my chest. When I was far enough, I turned and ran as fast as I could. I didn't stop until I got home. That night, I didn't say anything to my family. I couldn't. What would I even say? That the food we had been eating all these years had been made with urine. They wouldn't believe me. And even if they did, what would we do about it? The next day, I stayed far away from Mama Abina's stall. But the strange thing was, despite what I had seen, I noticed the lines at her stall were even longer. More people were coming from different villages. It was as if her food had become even more popular overnight. I couldn't understand it. How could something so disgusting be so loved by everyone? Was it true, then, that she had used juju? That there was some dark magic involved? I thought about telling someone, maybe the village elders, or my parents. But I was scared. What if Mama Abina found out? What if she cursed me? After all, if she could do that to her food, who knew what else she was capable of? For days, I kept my distance. But then something strange started happening. People who ate Mama Abina's food began to act different. For days, I watched from a distance. The people who ate Mama Abina's food started acting strange. At first, it was small things. They seemed more tired than usual. Some started looking pale, others kept rubbing their bellies and complaining about sharp stomach pains. But no one connected it to her food. How could they? She was still the most loved food seller in the village. But I knew what I had seen. I couldn't shake it from my mind. The thought of people happily eating food mixed with her urine made me sick. I kept quiet, though, too scared to speak. I didn't know how to explain it, and worse, I feared the consequences. Then, one evening, something terrifying happened. It was market day, and the village square was packed. Mama Abina's store was busier than ever. The sun was setting, and people were still lining up, waiting for her famous jollof rice and fried fish. I stood at the edge of the crowd, watching, still too afraid to approach. Suddenly, a loud scream cut through the air. A man had collapsed in the middle of the square. His body twisted and shook as if he was having a seizure. Everyone rushed to him, but before they could do anything, another woman collapsed, clutching her stomach. Then another. And another. Panic spread like wildfire. People were screaming, trying to figure out what was happening. My heart pounded in my chest. I knew, deep down, this was connected to Mama Abina's food. But I kept silent, watching in horror as more and more people fell to the ground, groaning in pain. The village elders arrived, trying to calm the crowd, but things only got worse. More people were collapsing, and some were vomiting violently. That's when I noticed something chilling. The vomit, it wasn't normal. It was dark, thick, almost black. And the smell, it was like rotten eggs mixed with something foul. My legs shook, and I wanted to run, but I couldn't move. Then, as if by instinct, people started pointing fingers at Mama Abina. "It's her food," someone shouted. "It's cursed." Mama Abina stood there, looking terrified, her hands shaking as she tried to deny it. But the villagers had already turned on her. They started advancing, shouting that she was a witch, that she had poisoned them. But then something even stranger happened. Mama Abina fell to her knees, crying out. "No! It wasn't supposed to be like this," she screamed. "I didn't mean for this to happen." The crowd stopped, stunned by her sudden confession. I was desperate," she sobbed, clutching her stomach like she was in pain herself. "I couldn't sell enough food. I couldn't make a living. So, I went to the old medicine man at the edge of the village. He told me he could help me make my food irresistible. But he didn't tell me the price." The elders stepped forward, demanding answers. Mama Abina, still on her knees, continued, her voice shaky. "He gave me a charm. He said I had to add something personal to my food, something from my own body. He said it would bind the customers to my food. They would keep coming back, no matter what. I didn't know it would harm them." The crowd gasped in horror. The elders were furious. "You used your urine in the food?" one of them shouted. Mama Abina nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, but I didn't know. I thought it was harmless. I thought it would just make the food sweeter." But now it's killing them. At that moment, another person collapsed, their body shaking uncontrollably. The elders immediately ordered Mama Abina to be taken to the medicine man for answers. A few brave men dragged her, still weeping, toward the forest where the medicine man lived. I followed, not out of curiosity, but because I needed to know how this would end. When we reached the old medicine man's hut, it was dark and eerie. He was a frail old man, sitting quietly in the corner as if he had been expecting us. His eyes were sharp, like he could see right through you. "You've come," he said calmly, looking at Mama Abina. "I warned you, didn't I? Magic always comes with a price." "You didn't tell me it would kill them," she cried, collapsing in front of him. The old man sighed, shaking his head. "I told you the charm would bind them to your food. You wanted riches, you wanted people to love your cooking, and now you have it. But you never asked what the price was." The villagers demanded that he undo the curse, that he save the people who had fallen ill. But the medicine man just chuckled darkly. "Undo the curse," he said, "that's not how it works. The spirits have been fed. They will not give back what they've taken." Panic spread through the crowd. Was there no way to save the village? Then, one of the elders spoke up, a woman who had seen many things in her life. "There must be a way. Spirits can be bargained with. What do they want?" The medicine man looked at Mama Abina, his eyes cold. "They want balance. They took from the people, but if she sacrifices herself, the spirits will be satisfied." The crowd fell silent. Mama Abina looked up, her face pale with fear. "Sacrifice myself." The old man nodded. "It's the only way. Your life for theirs." Mama Abina trembled, tears running down her cheeks. The villagers watched in silence, waiting for her decision. Finally, she stood up, her face full of regret. "I caused this. I will pay the price." Without another word, she stepped toward the medicine man's altar. He muttered something under his breath, a low chant, and before we knew it, Mama Abina collapsed. Her body went still, and the air around us grew heavy, like something had shifted. The village was silent. The sick people slowly began to recover, their pain easing as if a heavy burden had been lifted. But Mama Abina was gone. Her sacrifice had saved the village, but her story would be a warning to all of us: be careful what you wish for. The price of greed is always higher than you think. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting folktales. Thank you.